Hey fellas, it's Em from Shrike Gaming, and I'm doing the review on the brand new Tier 8 Premium Chinese tank. This is the WZ-121 FT. The history of it is paper tank, blueprints only. Based on the Type 59 chassis, so yeah, essentially kind of like what the Russians did, stick a armored top on it, turn it into a TD. This is one's based off the Type 59. So, what is actually interesting about this tank is uh, it's actually different than the rest of the Chinese line. I haven't played much of the Chinese line. Actually, I haven't played any of the Chinese line. But uh, the playstyle of this tank is much more is much similar to the Russian group of tanks that look like this, which is what I'm specifically talking about is the SU-122-44 Tier 7 and the SU-122-54. These two tanks, this tank, the Wheezy actually combines the better of these two, the 122 and the SU-122-54. It's kind of a combination of both. Uh, the Wheezy has the 122, which is in this version of it pretty nice. 8-second reload. I don't have BIA on the tank actually. I just started out with a fresh crew. I've played 10 games in it, so it doesn't take long to level up this tank. So 440 average damage, which is very similar to the SU 122 54, as well as the SU 122 44 with the 390. So actually, like I said, kind of a combination of these two tanks from the Russian line. So if you're familiar with these two tanks, you're going to get a little bit of both from it. Yes, I know it's a Chinese tank, but I'm trying to give you an idea what the play style is, compared to. The SU-122 obviously does 390. This does 440. So like I said, it's much similar, the gun-wise, similar to the SU-122 54. 248 average penetration. Obviously, it's a little bit between, once again, between the two of them. Reload time, once again, similar. Aim time, rest of the gun stats, the soft stats of it is, it's much better than the SU-122 44, much similar to the SU-122 54. So I really like the gun. I mean, with I kind of went a little oddball here. I went with a gun lane driver because this does have a very long aim time without that. And obviously, it's going to get lower once I get my crew built up. But yeah, it definitely helped with this gun. I mean, as you play it, and the crew gets built up, you might want to switch that out to either coated optics or binocs or whatever you feel like using on your TD. Survivability wise, 1,100 hit points. Armor, it's okay. Obviously, like the SU 122 44, it's very similar in armor, but where this tank sees a lot more. I mean, sees the lower tiers and stuff. They have trouble penning this. This is actually 100 millimeters, so this one's actually a little bit better armored, which isn't going to save you worth of shit at tier 8 or 9 or 10. Obviously, you're going to get some lower tanks that's going to bounce off this. If you get to run into some 6s, they're probably going to have trouble penning this. 7s probably ain't going to have much trouble. I mean, yeah, you're going to get the occasional bounce. It's with that 6 degrees of gun depression, you get yourself back off a hill a little bit, increases the slope. You do bounce a fair amount, but don't rely on your armor, obviously. Nothing on the side and shit in the rear. So yeah, there you go. Mobility wise, very good. Like I said, if you're familiar with these other two Russian tanks, the 44 and the 54, very similar mobility wise. Gets out, moves well. Um, it's definitely not a slow pile of shit. I mean, actually, And this is actually better than the last review I did with the STG. This thing actually can move compared. I mean, this is medium quality mobility. Unfortunately, no, it's not like a JP2 where you have somewhat of a little bit of armor or whatever. This thing is going to be a little bit more, a little more standoffish. If you want to hang out in the bush a little bit more. I mean, this is going to be in your face, kind of shove it in the mediums and whatnot. So yeah, good traverse speed, good top speed, gets up to the top speed very well. Um, I really can't complain. You're watching the videos, I do move around quite a bit with it, at least in the second video. The first video I played pretty much just a straight up camper video with it and just try to figure out how well this gun performs. I mean, 0.35 isn't the best, but the very first, actually I think it was the second video that I used it in. I got a nice place where I could just use the gun, and the accuracy wasn't too bad. Concealment, not bad. Um, this is actually not too. I mean, it's not obviously Swedish, sort of, but it's better. It's definitely better than most of the Germans. And right up there with the Russians. So yeah, you get behind the bush 15 meters, decent camo. Spotting, yeah, it's a TD. 388 isn't bad. Obviously, like I said, you throw some binocs or some coated optics, whatever you like to play on here, get your cover at the BIA, you're going to be well over 400. So definitely not something to complain about in that sense. I mean, you're not going to be totally blind. Standard rounds are AP, premium rounds are heat. So you get your 310 with your premium and 248 with your regular AP. And I really didn't run into a whole lot of things that I didn't have a problem with the 248 pen. I mean, obviously, some of the tier 9 heavies and stuff, you're obviously looking to load for them anyway, because they're tier 9 heavies. But yeah, AP was perfectly fine for most of the tanks that you run into. I mean, 248 same as you get JP2. This has a slightly faster reload than JP2, but doesn't quite hit quite as hard. And at 3,200 average damage, and I don't even have BIA on it. Yeah, this thing can put out some serious hurt rather quickly. Money. I mean, literally, and I haven't played a lot. Actually, as I said, I haven't played any of the Chinese tanks, but I've seen Hill play a couple, and actually we have a video up on him playing the tier 9 tank, which are quite a bit slower and not near as mobile as these tanks. This tank, so it's going to be a little bit different play style if you're going to progress down the Chinese line compared to the big heavy hitters on the Chinese line. This is different, definitely different for the play style. Like I said, it's much closer to the Russian line with their mobility. So if you enjoy the Russian line, and if you're thinking about doing it on the Chinese line, or if you're just looking for actually a really decent tank for making credits, this thing does very well. The two games I'm going to show you was actually my second game in it, I believe, and that was this is a 2600 damage game. Yeah, 2600 for some decent money at 51,000. I made 72 total over the thing, but it wasn't too bad for 2600 damage. And it's really not that hard to get. See in the video, it doesn't take long to rack up. And in the second game, I'm going to show you actually the Ace Tanker I just got in it, which was a 2200 average damage, or 2200 XP with 111,000, and this one was 4100, and this was a tier 9 game. So yeah, it can definitely perform even against 9s. This game, like I said, I'll bring up. This will be the second game or whatever. So after firing a few premium rounds, I still had walked away with about 61,000 credits. So yeah, as a moneymaker, it works out just fine. once this thing settles in and everybody keeps playing it and stuff, so in my opinion, it's similar to an SU-122-44 with that DPM with a better gun. Okay, I mean, it's just a better gun all the way around than the SU-122-44, and it just prints money. A 248 pen, it does quite well. That I keep referring back to the Russian TDs, and that's the only thing I can really give you guys for a comparison, because from what I've seen of the Chinese tanks and what I've talked to people that play the Chinese tanks, they're just this thing's a little bit different. It's like I said, much closer to the Russian line. Anything else? Get your typical crew: commander, gunner, driver, loader. I didn't, like I said, I didn't even check out the tech tree wise what that's going to. So what's the preview on it? It's commander, gunner, driver, loader. Yeah, so you should be fine with your matchup on your crews. So I do believe it's the same for the WZ. Commander, gunner, driver, loader. Yep. So you're not going to get screwed by having some oddball bullshit weird loadout on your crews. So that definitely is always nice. Like I said, it sucks when you buy these premiums and they're always kind of half-assed crew wise. So there's a couple different packages in the premium shop. Check them out. This is just a base one. I got it for 45 bucks, I think, and then goes up over 100 with the full kit out, 7,500 gold, so many premiums and all that stuff. That's whatever you guys want to spend on it is entirely up to you anyway. So as a TD, a tier 8, definitely a thumbs up. If you're a Chinese fan, definitely a thumbs up. Of course, this is going to be a good crew trainer, good money maker, and definitely enjoy that nice big boomstick on there. So I'm going to bring you guys the games here shortly, and hope you guys enjoy them. Hey fellas, back with the first replay, Corellia, and of course I get the second game in this tank, and of course I get the excellent matchmaking. And we got a bunch of 6s and a few 8s. I'm gonna play this like I said, the second game, and I didn't really know how it's gonna act. So I played typically like a typical TD. You'll see a lot of camping and bush shooting and whatnot. Let's move over into the sniper hole over there on the 0 line. If you're not aware of that, around the F0 area is a nice little ledge that you can sit on, and allows you to shoot down the alleyway there. So push up. We get kind of a strange R32. He loads in late. 8.8 goes the other way. So I'm actually the only 8 over here. Move up. 3485's here. He's taking ill like a boss. Get in position. And point my gun right where I need to be. Oh, try to snapshot that. If I would have probably held up, I could have actually got the damage on that one, but oh well. T29 pokes out, puts the first shell in for 445. I'm not sure if he's he wasn't tracked. Anyway, missed the T29 as he backed up. The KV-85 once again should have shot. I had a lot of shots here. There are things that are popping up, KV-85 gets nailed. Light him on fire. Burn him almost down to nothing. They kind of piled up down there, so I'm going to sit here for a little while as we work the corner here. Put another shell into the 5 T150. I'm rolling right around my average, or what I should be, 414, 413, 445, that whatnot. I got a 439 and a T29. I love these kind of games where they just line up for you. I mean, as a TD player, this is what you like to see. So I'm already up to 2100 damage. I'm sitting here waiting. The north is getting rolled, but there's an 8.8 there and a KV2, so I'm not terribly worried about it. See as they come out. T-150 bounces my shell like a boss, and but I'll get him with it for the last 70 hit points, and I'm off. Nothing here to shoot at, so I move up and try to get over here to the far side and see if I can get some shells and some shots in here. There is another WZ-120-1 FT on the other team, and an SU-100. They actually do put some good shells into everything. And I pull around, see if I can get a shot on this. Wheezy nails be nice. Actually rolled pretty well for that. Gets stunned by the GW Churchill. Yeah, I'm not going to do that again. As you can see, the armor doesn't mean a whole lot of nothing here. It's not something that's going to bounce anything fairly well. You know, I got a shot to the underplate. I think that was from the Wheezy, and I think the other one was actually in my side from the Black Prince. So, yeah, he rolled well. That other Wheezy did. So, get up on the hill here, and you're going to see me. I'm essentially going to camp most of this time right here, and it's not really going to be all that entertaining. So we're actually just going to speed up a little bit here. Actually, I'm not even sure I get any more damage after this. I'm sitting here essentially just waiting for the Scorpion G and the SU-100 Y to poke, and that's about it. And I'm trying to squeeze some shots through here on this T-71, but he gets knocked out, and it's, like I said, once again, a waiting game. I kind of was hoping that the two TDs were actually going to be hanging out. Otherwise, I probably would have been a little more aggressive here. But I thought they were going to be sneaking behind some bushes or some trees and rocks or something, you know. And you actually just saw that. That was actually my shell hitting the M12 and bouncing off of his barrel. You could see the ricochet as it flew up in the air. Yeah, that's actually did hit him. So I know both of those two are sitting here. Blind fire into the Scorpion G, get a critical hit on him, almost likely just tracked him. And like I said, kind of just blind firing on some stuff here. I really don't have the hit points if I do get spotted by the Scorpion G. Most likely to get wrecked. The Hellcat takes a nice shot. Scorpion G's still played, though those two I'm not sure what they were up to. They played kind of back a long time. I do get the Scorpion G kill though. So that was like the second game. You can see from the accuracy of it from the first couple rounds into those heavy tanks, it was a fairly easy game for me, at least, other than the fact that I kind of pulled a no-brainer there and got a little too bully with it. This tank armor, it's not exactly the best to be trying that. But the next game is my ace tanker game in the tanks, so we'll bring that up right. Alright guys, back with the ace tanker in this tank, and I'm playing with my platoon mates, clan mates, Whip and Big T. And we're playing easy. They're running their light tanks, and I'm running the tank destroyer. It's a tier 9 match, kind of an odd one with only 2 top tiers. But we will see here how this works out. So we planned on those guys are actually going to go in the bowl here, and I'm going to try to provide some fire support for them. They're going over here to the F2 or the F3 area. They're going to play down in there and try to get me some lights so I can have something to shoot at, as all good light tank players should do. Pulling over, like I said, the camel's not bad on this thing. Pull on up, and I actually kind of, when I take this shot, I'm literally kind of at full blue. Nail him in the rear, get a nice 577 roll on him. Nothing too spectacular. I sit here and wait, see the one tank drive by. The tree's knocked down, so I was hoping I was going to hit something, but obviously I don't. I'm trying to cover these guys best I can without getting spotted. Big T gets a little ballsy there, pulls up, takes a shot from the Panther. They're sitting there and kind of trying to keep those guys from pushing on down to the 1-2 line, which is typically how that works. If you do get a couple good lights up there, they have a tendency to stop right where about the Panther is, and they kind of bunch up, which is okay. Centurion 7-1, 25-18, WZ-121 over here. I get a shot off on the Scorpion, don't hit anything. You'll see, a lot of you watch me ever play, sometimes you'll see me take a lot of blind shots because that's just the way I am. And sometimes, a lot of times you do get lucky and you do actually hit something. And we're actually at this point, we were actually discussing this. We were looking at down at the ice road, trying to figure out what kind of fuckery that was happening down there with a T-29 and a 25-2 against a T-30 and a T-20. The T-30 light rolls high, nails a 25-2, and there's actually now 4 tanks down on that line versus our T-29. We do have a Torton base, but he's not exactly the most aggressive player I've ever seen. So pull over 34-100. He's been sitting back here with the artillery in case decide one of them falls off the hill or something. Pull back around. Now I could go down, but I have a feeling that this is not going to end well for me if I decide to get spotted. So I try to get up a little higher here. Try to put myself in position to support T-29. Hopefully crushing this flank, and we can maybe get a little move on here and try to get back to the other side. I switched to the heat round here. I have a feeling that if the T-30 does pop over, I really wanted to make sure I could pen him every time. I know 248 is usually enough, but when you get into these games where they're kind of tight and you're playing against tanks bigger than you, you don't want to fucking not pen and not do damage. But instead, I get a Tiger 1, put a nice shell into him for 388. Switch back to regular rounds, finish him off with 180. Now he's dead, leaving the T-20 and the T-30 here. Now, unfortunately, the rest of the team kind of went to shit. The 25 pilot, the 6 Type 62, and the STI pretty much cleaned that flank out rather easily. Centurion 7-1, he went down to the bottom down there, which is unfortunate because it's not really a great place to be at this game with 2 artillery pieces. That's a pretty easy shot. STI sitting back a little bit. So I decided, well, T-29 Tort's pushing on the T-30, and now I'm essentially just here to try to help as much as I can with the Centurion 7-1. Type 62 gets pretty ballsy and pushes down onto the Centurion 7-1. Crusader finishes him off, so that leaves us here with the pilot with the T-34-100. I pull over, put a shell into him. Once again, switch back to premium shells because every shot's got to count. You cannot not pen, right? It's just not. It's not a good idea. So you'll see me spam a few premium shells here. I know the STI is sitting back there waiting. He's actually, for being the only heavy tank, tier 9 heavy tank in this game, he plays a little bit, plays it kind of, obviously not aggressive. Puts a nice shot into him. Crusader's onto me now. T-25 bounces the T-25 pilot bounces a shell. Now I'm sitting there with an STI. So a little bit about what I'm trying to do right here is I'm trying to get the STI kind of baited up here. The pilot switches to HE shells. Excellent. Yeah, that's what you do in a tier 8 medium tank. Essentially what I'm doing here is not putting myself out there. I want to kill the STI, but I do have 1, 2, 3 artillery, right? So I'm not really terribly worried about it. I put a nice shell into him, hit some track, leaves him hanging out there. Come over, put a nice shell into the side of him. Unfortunately, I missed. I hit the top of the turn a little too high, and it actually bounced. Instead, I switch over. I need to knock this STI out. Pilot's still freaking shooting at me. Get the ST down to a 445, which is very easily within being one shot for me. finishes off the artillery. And before you say it, yes, I am using my artillery as bait. I get it. Don't cry about it. It's just what you do. STI doesn't know the T-29's here. He moves up. He actually played a really good game. The T-29 did. He played against the T-30 and whatnot. T-29 takes his focus off. STI is still looking at me. Goes after the M12. Shoots at the M12. Misses. Lets me come over the side. Put a nice shell into him. Now I'm off. Alright, so what I'm trying to do here is just getting around behind him, and I'm also trying to finish off this pilot. He needs to die. So, pulling on him, get tracked by the pilot, kill him, leaving an STI, because right now we're still at 3 to 4, right? T-29 finishes off the STI with a ram. He actually killed the T-30 too, so he actually had a really good game. Actually up to 3,200, leaves the Tiger 2 here. I'm not going to, especially now after getting, yeah, that's kind of the reasons why you saw me go right back around the corner, is that I know I'm easily spotted by artillery, or easily able to be hit easily by artillery. The Tortoise takes the long way around back to base with the Tiger 2 sitting around the corner. Now you see me going, I'm essentially going back to this corner right here, and I really kind of want him to cap. What it does is gives me a decent protection against the 2 artillery pieces if he comes around to this side of the map down to the base. So I'm just going to hang out here and wait until my torque gets over here for help. Unfortunately, the Tiger 2 does not push. He actually backs back around to the side of the bridge, which is leaving me the torque against the half health Tiger 2. So pull off the hill. I know, you know, you've seen the last game in this game, you know, like I said about the mobility of this thing, which really reminds you of the 120-144 and the 54, how well it moves. You know, so here we are. So we got the Tiger 2 to finish off. He puts a good shell into the torque. The torque keeps pushing, and you know, this is where it gets a little bit dodgy right here, because we know if you go around the corner right here, everything's going to be shooting. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to get the Tiger 2 to bait out on me. I might take a little damage, but I'm hoping that the torque will put a shell into him. You know, Tiger, I'm not even sure if he's aware of the fact that the torque is still sitting there. So I'm waiting, and he actually pulls around, puts a shot into the torque, which gives me a chance to come around, and lets me put a nice 428 into the Tiger 2. So now you'd see I'm not going around any further because of artillery. So 140, the 143 comes around, M43 comes around, lets me put a shell into him, and still staying already safe. Obviously up to this point we haven't seen anything. For that shell to land there, you know, I was actually talking to my platoon mates about this, and I have a pretty good idea where the artillery is sitting at. I'm pinging map for the Tortoise to actually go down that way, down the bridge, not to come with me. More along the lines of it gives us a better chance of actually picking up that artillery. So I had a pretty good idea where he was at, artillery-wise. So I actually had to make sure I check all the corners here. Go back around the thing here. If that absolute worst is I don't run into him until I get back toward cap. With 5 minutes onto it, I wasn't too upset. You know, I don't know where he's sitting at, but I know the shell came from this direction. So back around, he's not back in the back corner, and start heading toward cap. The torque thankfully listens and heads down the bridge. There he is. So I see him, puts a shell into me, and finish him off. So I ended up with 4,100 damage and a nice 111,000 credit, 222 XP, and 5 kills. So yeah, I enjoyed the tank. I definitely give it a thumbs up if you're looking for an enjoyable TD. Essentially, it's an SU-122-44 at tier 8 with a better gun. Yeah, that's what you're getting. So I hope you guys enjoyed the review, and subscribe if you haven't yet. We always got good videos coming up on all of Wargaming's games. So yeah, give me a subscribe. Thanks, guys.